Well, hello, and welcome back. I'm Claire, this is Purple Poppy, and as you can see, it's finished. We're on the reveal of our Roxy's Journal of Stitchery vase. Those of you that have been on the whole journey with me will probably remember that I did say last week that I was going to leave it sitting on its balloon and we could unveil it together and make sure that, you know, we found out together whether it had worked or not. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that because, as balloons are inclined to do, the balloon started to shrivel and it was coming away from it. And because the underneath was still wet where it had been next to the rubber of the balloon, it wasn't drying, so the bottom was staying soft. So I had to remove it from the balloon and put it on this rather large jar so that the air could circulate within it. And as you can probably tell, it's worked. It is solid. Now, I have to be honest and say the bottom is a little bit more round than I would like. I'd like to have had a little bit of a flatter surface there. But of course, that's because I stuck it to a very round balloon. You can see that my circle, although it is very central to the star of lace, when I put the whole thing onto the balloon, it was obviously off central slightly because you can see it comes up that side much more than this side. But, you know, it was the first one, you live and learn. But I think the most exciting thing of all is it's solid. Apart from the rolly bottom, it stands up perfectly well on its own. I love that it reminds me a bit of one of those like sort of clamshells or some kind of sea coral, because you've got a very tall bit here, a slightly lower bit there, down again, up again, sort of level. There's a piece of fluff it got in the glue there. Sort of level, and then up a bit and then down a bit. I'm just love it. I love it, love it, love it. So much so that I'm going to do it again, I think. And this time I'll probably put some dye or paint into the PVA to colour up the lace. And as you can see, you can stretch it, but it springs back because it's set, it's solid. So yeah, I'm really pleased, and it's tactile. I love it. So what am I going to do with it? Well, I thought I would bring in, I probably can't see all this because I'm filling my desk up, but I would bring in, all my stitching threads, and I'm going to pop those in here. I say all, they're never all going to fit in here. I know that much for sure. But it's a good start. They're all a bit bland, aren't they? Let's get some bright colours in there. And look, I can have this, sitting on my, I've got loose threads, sitting on my desk. And when I'm reaching for a thread, they're just going to be there. And if for some reason I've got them all out, I'll be able to see that pretty patterning on the bottom. And I'm just really, really pleased. I'm glad I did it. I'm excited that it worked out the way I hoped it would. Look, you can, and now I've got a lot of threads in there. And that, as I say, it's off centre. Maybe into, and look, I can splay it. So I could get more in there. But obviously it's got a memory, so when I take the threads out, it will spring back to the shape that's there. Look at that. I can have this a giant bowl of threads on my desk. I'm really, really pleased with it. So there you go. I mean, I'm obviously going to have to make another one because I've still got threads in my bag. And I don't think I can pile any more on. Oh, yes, I can. Yes, I can. No, see, because that's leaning too far on that arm now. But yeah, there you go. So it did work. I'm very, very pleased with it. Got a giant bowl of threads on my desk now, close to hand. And I can see the colours a lot better than I could just in the bag. So there you go. There it is. Whoops. So project number 5 is complete. And now we have to think about moving onwards and upwards. Whoops. So if I lift that down, because my desk isn't quite big enough, and we look at moving on to project 6. Now, we don't know a whole lot about this yet, but we do know that it's a concertina book and it's basically called Field Notes. Well, I've got, which is obviously an Edith Holden book, I have got a country diary of an Edwardian lady, but as you can see, I've used it for many journal pages, so it's not complete. However, it's odd that it keeps opening to that, because I do love a thistle. So maybe that's the first thing I have to do. I have to consider putting it on my cover. But anyway, so I've got that one. And I did say to you a few weeks ago, I didn't know if this was going to work for me, because that's quite delicate stitching and I'm not a very delicate person. But anyway, but I've also got this one. This is the Diary of a Cumbrian Naturalist, Mary Welsh. Now this one is all in black and white, but there are some images in here that, you know, could be used. So I've got that book as well. This is the book that I think I'm going to be turning to the most, believe it or not, but even though I've got Edith there. This is England is a Garden by Catherine Hamilton. Now this book is, I don't know, no, I've had that page out already, so, oh hang on, it's a 1985, so it's quite an old book. But what I love about this is, look, not only has she done beautiful flowers in colour all the way through, she's done these beautiful pencil sketches, which were on location, and then there's a little bit of writing, you know, the custom of setting the watch by sounding a horn at each corner of the obelisk in the market square of Ripon continued without a break for over 1,000 years. And she just goes on and says bindweed was growing beside the car park. So this is the bindweed, and I'm guessing that this is one of the buildings in the market square. And she actually says Wakeman's House, Market Square, Ripon, and each one is like that. It's got this pencil drawing, this beautiful, look, there's a church steeple there, beautiful lilies. So I absolutely adore this book, and I'm thinking this is probably going to be the book that I turn to the most, because it's my idea that this time round, although I am going to be doing stitchery, I want my book to be much more journal than stitchery. So what I've done is I've done some prep work. I pulled out lots of pieces, well, a few pieces of tea and coffee dyed fabrics. Some have got little rust marks on, and I deliberately chose this variegated cotton thread, and I have done a little hand running stitch around all these odd shapes, and that's part of what makes it for me, these lovely odd shapes. I've taken one of the serviettes. Now you've seen these, I've got a few of these, and I basically did, I believe that's 7 inches. Yeah, I did a 7-inch, cut it into 7, oh goodness me, cut it into 3 7-inch strips like that, and then I just folded it in half and then folded it in half again. And I'm thinking, and I've got 3 of them, I'm thinking that rather than joining the back of this one to the front of this one to make a whole concertina, and then this one to this one, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to connect this one to a hard front cover and have 4 come out that way, and then I'm going to connect the second one to a hard back cover, and then this one will come out to the middle. So I've basically got 1, 2, 3, 4 on that one, plus the back, which is 8, and then 4 on this one plus the back, which obviously gives me 16. And realistically we only need 12 because we've got 6 months, I believe, of fortnightly videos, and that's how the girls are going to get the 12 months of the year in it. I think. Obviously I don't know completely yet because they haven't released all the information. So I will be getting some card, she says, frantically trying to find a bit of card which I can't find, but I will use some kind of card to put onto here and then sandwich that between here and here to make my hard cover, and then this will be sitting loose inside, and I'll do exactly the same there. Because of the width of this, I've got plenty of spine space, and it is obviously too big because I wasn't sure how big I was going to do my pages when I started sewing this. So what I did think was I could put it up there like that, and then I could create some kind of, I was going to say pocket, but then that means this will all be stuck in there because of attaching this one to the back. So I'm not quite sure yet. I just don't want to have to cut it off. So I don't know, but we'll see how we go. We'll play each sort of day or each week's prompt by ear, and we'll see how we end up. And of course that will be my front cover, and that's what I'm saying about maybe I could get that thistle on there somehow. If I can get a plain piece of fabric like that, I could get a nice thistle on the front. But as I say, I want it to be more like a journal. So what I'll be doing, and that's why, whoops, that's why this book comes into its own, is because I want to sort of, if the prompt, for example, is strawberries, I'm just going to say that because that's what's on this page, then I'd like to get some strawberries down here, and then get, not necessarily a house because obviously that would be copying this picture, but get some kind of sketch here and do the sketch in maybe just a brown cotton or a black cotton, almost like you were doing sort of free motion stitching on the sewing machine, but doing it by hand. So what I'll be doing is taking my friction pen and I'll be drawing something that I feel is appropriate to go with whatever's there, and I'll be using these books for inspiration. The other 2 books that I've got is Treasury of Flower Design. Now this is just literally plain flowers, so you know we can use these to help us draw various flowers that may come up. And what I've also got, well, it's hardly the complete book now because again lots of it's been used for journal making, but it's Flower Fairies, and I also adore these pictures. Excuse me. These ones can be quite small because the fairy is obviously the main part of the Wayfarer berry, but like you've got these ones in between where it's got these lovely leaves and the sort of brambles, mulberries. So we'll see. So I've got that book as well, and like this one, the Double Daisy. I mean, it's just beautiful. And as much as I don't necessarily need the fairy, I've got these images that I can use. The tulip. So yeah, so the books that I'm going to be using for inspiration and to guide me through are the Flower Fairies, Treasury of Flower Design, England is a Garden, obviously Edith Holden, Journal of an Edwardian Lady, and then this country journal. So I've got those 5 books, and as I say, I'm going to try and make it more like a journal than a stitchery. So each page will have stitchery. I mean, if, you know, rose comes up, I know I've got a fantastic rose stamp, so I'll stamp and then stitch over the stamping if it's appropriate, because like the strawberries, I mean, you know, going to Strawberry Fair so is a, you know, well-known song, so I might put a ticket or something on there. I don't know exactly yet. We'll see how we go. So there you go. As always, a huge thank you for spending time with me today. I hope you liked the bowl. I hope you're now going to consider having a go with fabric and glue, because it was great fun and it works. And I'll see you next week with the first real step of this. Stay safe. I'll see you soon. Ta-ta for now.